Is it asking?
Oh, it's okay. We're coming up here. It's just loading. There we go. We are live. Hello and welcome, everyone. How's everyone doing this afternoon? So I'm here today with Yvonne. Yvonne is amazing. She's a microcurrent practitioner, but she also does so much more, and she's doing some great work in the world. And I'm looking forward to working with her more this year. And she was coming to share some experiences with us today. Yvonne, could you just introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what you do and your history with microcurrent and everything?
Certainly. Hello, my name is Yvonne Ray, functional medicine and microcurrent board certified, about 7 other certifications in nutrition as well. Former military, worked in the medical and the dental field, everything from the OR to assisting in autopsies. Absolutely loved it. And let's see, I've been working with microcurrent about 8 years now. And prior to that, it's always been about compounds. First, it was pharmaceuticals, and then it was nutrition, whole plant food, nothing synthetic. And I got to tell you, when I got and I saw great results with real whole food nutrition. But what microcurrent did in my practice was literally shorten that healing curve.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to share work at 2 clinics. One is a pain clinic here in the Sacramento area. And then the other one is actually a brain health center. Both spaces, we use a lot of frequency-based devices. And my role at the brain health center is to help with the pain, because, if you come in and you're trying to improve your brain health, what they found is the pain was too distracting. And so they could not, further the program because they were too focused on their back or their ankle or their arm. And so literally with just for most of them, it's a few short sessions.
Mhm.
And then they're able to, step into that brain health program that they are, actually showed up at the center for.
That's amazing. And I think it's so true, right? We do see that stress it can totally prevent people from progressing. And this is where a lot of practitioners, I think, find being able to take the pain out of the way so that they can get the other treatments to work is just absolutely huge. So you've recommended a lot of people to take microcurrent on. Have any of them ever been like skeptical of the concept originally and frightened? What have their fears been?
You mean like me?
I didn't want to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I came from the allopathic community. Nowhere are we learning about the electrical of the body or even the light that's in the body. So absolutely, it was, not only was I skeptical, I remember the first time I walked into the center here in Sacramento, I really thought I was being punked. Because as I walked in, there was a gentleman walking out, a colonel of the Air Force, who I now know and work with today. But the words that came out of his mouth, the expression of what results he got, I remember thinking, like, I'm looking around, am I being punked? Absolutely. People are often skeptical, but many that come to see me have had so many other procedures and have tried other alternatives. For some, they are, you feel like, that we're their last resort. But I'll ask them, has anybody been working with you on your electrical? And, they're like, no. I say much like an EKG. This is how I show them. EKG provides 12 leads. It's looking for electrical blocks in the body, right? I said, well, and I'll show my microcurrent, my wand, and I'll say, I only have 1 lead, but if I can help find some of those electrical blocks, we can help relieve your pain, the stress that is, on that particular tissue.
Yeah.
And so that right there, because there's a direct understanding for many of them.
Yeah.
And then, and then I'll just, try it on their hand or on a body part and, or talk a little bit about, most of them are familiar with the TENS unit.
Yes.
While this is very different.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and it's so there's definitely some connections we can make. I really like the EKG analogy. Actually, my dad, John, John, he
yeah.
will use he'll use the analogy of, well, when you're dead laying on a table, what do they use to try and bring you back to life? This is a little bit more aggressive, right? But zap, right? They're putting that electricity back into your body.
Yes.
So no, that's great. And I do think, yeah, people are hesitant and they don't understand. This is part of what we're trying to do here with the Jumpstart. They don't understand that the body is electric. It's not common knowledge because it's not something that doctors talk about. Now, you've also been, obviously, as you said, you've been in both sides of the world, right? You've been in the conventional medical side and you've been on this side. And I know you work a lot with nutrition as well, right? As a major component of what you do.
Yes.
And so ultimately now, like, having actually had that hands-on experience in both sides, would you ever go back to the conventional medical side?
So while there are many options available to us, that not without first exhausting everything that we can offer through nutrition, through electrical, through light. I've just seen too much. Now, obviously, in an emergent state, and especially if somebody is unfamiliar, my suggestion may be to go have it looked at. But once you become familiar, especially with the microcurrent, even in these urgent or emergent situations, if you understand how to use them, you can certainly improve the condition that is occurring in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And
that's true. Mm-hmm. I've seen some interesting ones people come up with as well, like treating snake bites as well, like, because you can totally, when you add those electrons in, you can disable the venom, right? Stuff maybe you wouldn't recommend an amateur to try, but it's something that, as we get more experiences, you say, we get more and more confidence in doing that.
yeah, and I think if we can help our audience understand, there are so many ways. So I'm just going to mention this one. You probably have all heard about it, but you mentioned snake bite. A little bit of our urea from our urine is an you can literally apply it, and many will talk about ingesting it. Just another way. But the microcurrent, I haven't seen anything, work this swiftly, this consistently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. And for you, do you mind sharing? You mentioned, you were skeptical at first. What was your personal experience? Why did you seek it out originally?
So originally, I am a Camp Lejeune survivor. I, was there in the 80s as a medic, and several years after that, I started just experiencing health challenges that none of it appeared to be connected.
Mm-hmm.
And, eventually I crossed to the other side. I started with nutrition, but there was one area that just was not working, didn't seem to be, and I have internal tremors. And so the nurse that introduced me actually to your father, who I was trained by several times, several classes, she said, "Hey, why don't you give this a try?"
Mm-hmm.
And so, with her, with your dad, Dr. Hache, with your help as well, I've been able to have some breakaway. I do still have the tremors, but it's nothing to the same degree that I once had. So there was definitely a component there.
Okay, excellent.
And I'll tell you, if it's okay, my my ultrasound showed significant striations on my liver. And for those of you that don't know what that means, my liver looked more like a brisket than it should look like a Jello mold, right? Very jiggly. Since using the microcurrent, it's been about 8 years now, I have new tissue on the liver, and I now have slightly striation of the liver.
Perfect.
Woohoo!
It's getting healed. Exactly.
Yes.
And so I know these are nice short interviews for people here, but I just wanted to bring up the work you've been doing with the lung trial you're working on. And you mentioned strokes as well. Are you okay talking about those things here?
I'm okay. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, Yvonne's been working and I kind of consulted with her a little bit, but she's really just running this thing on resolving lung issues and getting people off of oxygen. And this has been absolutely huge for people. And I even talked about it on a video one time. And I think 10, 12 people adopted the protocol and same results you were getting. So easy to do. So what was the thought process behind starting that protocol, and what's led you to what you're now doing, which is an actual clinical trial?
Yeah. So, 2 years ago, people were showing up in the hospital, and we have a device. I am all about the Hache Protocol. That's, everything that I do starts there. And I had two people have an experience within the hospital. And so I thought, man, nobody even knows. They know me about pain. Pain brings them to me, but we have so much more that we can offer. And so I actually first did 3 classes, community classes. We had nearly, I can't quite remember, but close to maybe 40 people in those classes. And we had 99% have an increase in their oxygen. Not only are we able to release, the influx that is happening within the ER, but imagine you have a home, an at-home device that, much like, what do they call the steroids? I'm drawing a blank. The inhalers. I would like to see this as a first at-home treatment, that in one session you can increase your oxygen levels. And I'll tell you, to date, our average appears to be about 3.2 oxygen saturation, that we've been able to raise, that by a minimum of 3.2, 3.4, right around there. And I believe to date we have about 60 that are on the books. And it's just been incredible. So my heart was first to just let people know that this was even an option. And yeah, and then thank you so much to you, to Dr. Hache. We have just been using your protocols, and I think we threw in one nutritional element just, to because microcurrent, it cannot replace tissue that's missing, but if you get the nutrients in, that's the part that the correct type of nutrients can do. Is that, that rebuild. So we get resolution, we get, reduce the inflammation as well as the scar tissue.
Yeah.
And I think you asked about stroke victims, stroke recovery. That's been phenomenal. We just first come in and just start to reestablish the electrical of the muscle skeletal that has been affected. And then, of course, with the, Deutsch and the PONS protocols, we have seen, everything from speech and cadence for those in the recovery program change. And I mean change within some short sessions.
Right.
They usually come in with multiple, and I say, give me your priorities, and we attempt to reestablish first all muscle electrical, muscle skeletal, before we move on to some other things. But
Of course. Yeah, you need to build that foundation up, right? You need to get in there and do.
But it's typically first session, they begin to see change.
And that's what people ask me too. They're like, how long is it going to be before I notice a difference? Well, I'm hoping it's within one treatment. You're going to notice a difference. It may not all go away, but
Right.
you should say, whoa, my pain's down from like a 7 to a 3. It's still there, but that's a big edge to take off, right?
So can I tell you about my soccer guy, my soccer
Sure. Yeah.
toe? So I had a gentleman come in. He kicked a soccer ball with his. He just had flip flops on, and I believe it was about 12 years previous to him coming to see me. Ultimately, on that one foot, he developed neuropathy.
Of
So
course. Yeah.
he called it his soccer toe. So I worked with him. We established where he began to feel the microcurrent, and then just traveled all the way down the leg. Well, the two toes that he kicked the ball with, I had to DZ 9 minutes and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah. And so said, we talked, he calls me back and he says, yeah, I don't think this is for me. And I said, okay. And about 2 months later, he called me back at his wife's urging, because about 3 to 4 weeks after the treatment, he started to recognize he was getting warmth back to the feet. Coloration was changing. And while he did go through the process of a little more pain, sometimes things get worse before it gets better, as that nerve seemed to be regenerating. But yeah, he called me back and he said, maybe there was something to that.
That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. It's good when they come back in the end.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to share. I know we went over time, but I don't really care. I just love sharing all this stuff with people. So I'll be a rebel. So I just want to say to anyone watching that, if you are interested in learning more about this, on getting involved in the program, we are filling up the reset program. It is filling up already. So please go ahead, get in while you can. Don't wait. This doors are closing next week as well on the 1st of March. So I really want to make sure that you're able to get in there and you don't miss out, because I want to work with everyone to perform miracles like Yvonne performs every day. Okay. So
And can I close with one more thing?
of course, please do.
I'd really like, for those that are listening, we use all of the Hache protocol. I mean, I started with current medicine 1. We're on the 3rd one. So it's not that, other than adding whole food liquid nutrition, we're doing it. And I can see that there are a few on here that work out of my clinic, and, we have interns coming through. And they're learning the Hache protocol. It's been very life-changing.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Yvonne. And thanks for coming today to meet with me and go over this with the community. I hope you'll join for tomorrow's session. We'll keep going. We got more to do in the jumpstart. So thank you. And to everyone watching, thank you as well. I hope you all take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Yvonne.